Welcome to Cornerstone Conversations, where we discuss timely topics impacting communities, cultures, and economies. The first topic we're going to dive into in this series is family business. Currently, there are 32 million family businesses in the U.S., generating over half of our GDP as a country. They also employ 83 million people. What's interesting is only 30% of family businesses make it to the second generation, and only 12% make it to the third. You've probably heard of the great wealth transfer that is taking place across the globe in the next 5 to 7 years. 40% of all the small businesses in the U.S. are owned by a baby boomer who is reaching retirement age pretty soon. As coaches, we're really interested in what those impacts do to communities and cultures at large. We've had the privilege of walking alongside a lot of family business leaders over the past few years, and we believe this major intersection is something that can really impact communities well. We're going to talk to 6 dads and sons that are working together and are trying to navigate what it means as a son to carry forward what their dad started, and as dads trying to let go of something that they've held on to for so long. All right, hey, before we dive in today, I want to take a second and talk to you about our sponsor and our guest on this episode, Graves Schmidly and BHC Insurance. You're about to hear Graves and his dad, Shannon, talk about what it means to build something that lasts, navigating all the big decisions, the pressure, and the relationships that hold their business together. I've known Graves and their family for over a decade now, and I've gotten to see their values and their work ethic on display firsthand in a lot of areas of life. BHC Insurance, their company, was started in 1915, which means it's over 115 years old. They're independent, which means they're not pushing one product. They're trying to find the right thing for you and your business and your family. If you're a business owner and you're looking for someone to bring some insurance products to your company, or an individual looking for some protection on your family, I would highly recommend checking out BHC. You can go to their website, bhca.com. Now let's jump into the episode. Thank you guys for coming to do this and being willing to sit down and talk. Known you for a while, over 10 years, like we just got to the bottom of. When we work with family businesses, there's 2 broad categories that are showing up. One would be legacy businesses. So this is multi-generational. This company was here before you started. It was here before you were born. And you're stepping into something that already existed. And there's a lot of layers in that as a dad and son. The other category would be joint family ventures. So this is a dad and son that are starting something together new. You guys are in the legacy category with BHC Insurance. And not only that, you're at the top tier of that, probably because it's over a century old business, started in 1915. Is that right? So there's a century of reputation and weight and name that kind of goes with the business that you're walking into and you got to even walk into. We want to get into kind of your story because you have the same last name and you work in the same company, but you each have your own stories. And I want to hear that, but maybe start, Shannon. What was it like to step into something that was already a pretty old, pretty established firm whenever you got involved? And then tell us what your career has been like at BHC.
Yeah, well, prior to my employment at BHC, I'd worked for ABF Freight System. I graduated from college, had a transportation logistics degree, thought I wanted to be in the transportation related side of things. A lot of that's in Northwest Arkansas, and I thought it'd be a good thing to go off in. And then 6.5 years into it, Marty and Scott Clark, my partners at BHC, they were on their way back from a big consulting group that they're a part of, having meetings with Mr. Hiller and their dad, Larry Clark, the late deceased Larry Clark, and came back and they were in the car. The conversation was, we need to get someone else involved in the business for perpetuation.
What year was this roughly?
1996.
Okay.
Yeah, 96. So I get a phone call from Scott and Marty, who I was friends with growing up in Fort Smith, ran in a little bit different circles, had different interests, different hobbies, but I knew them and they knew me and they were great guys. They said, we'd like to talk to you. I said, okay. So we all got together, Sam Hiller, Larry Clark, Scott Clark, Marty Clark, got together and went to this place that used to be in Fort Smith called the Town Club, had dinner, and they said, we'd like for you to come work with us at BHC and help us perpetuate the agency. And I said, well, sounds interesting. Obviously, Scott and Marty were third generation.
Yep.
Sam and Larry were second.
So
And Shannon, what does BHC stand for again?
It stood for Brown, Hiller, Clark, and Associates.
Okay.
Larry Clark came along after Mr. Brown and Mr. Hiller, and they added his name to the name of the company later when he moved to Fort Smith.
Gotcha.
So Sam Hiller was there prior to Larry, and then Larry came in and they added his name. So Brown, Hiller, Clark, and Associates. It's, when we turned 100 years old, we rebranded the company to BHC Insurance, and kind of rebranded things, changed the slogan.
Yeah.
More than a promise, did all these different things, just trying to give new life to it. And we've since then done another new life thing we can talk about later with what Marty and I've done with acquiring the agency back.
Yep.
Because we had sold to a privately held bank in Arkansas 23 years ago. Actually, 23 years ago, March 1st.
How old were you when Marty and Scott reached out? How old were you in 96? 30?
Dangerous question.
Yeah, that is, yeah.
I'm curious though, because I'm 26.
Well,
I'm thinking about what age
I was born in 67.
Okay.
So 29.
Yeah. Okay.
Similar.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. 29. My daughter Parker was born in July, and I made a career change in October.
Young kids.
Young
New
kids, living paycheck to paycheck. And I had no idea what I was getting into. But what Marty and Scott both said to me about perpetuating the agency, it interests me. What could I do? I was sitting in a cubicle at ABF, and ABF is a wonderful company, and I have a lot of great friends and relationships with people at ABF. But I was sitting in a cubicle and I was working, and they had white noise going over the intercom. It's deaf quiet. You're in cubicles, you're working. And what I kept thinking is that I wanted to do more with my skill set than what I was doing right then. And it, if I was still at ABF today, I would probably not have been in the same department that I was in. I might have been in the sales side of things with the company, or maybe risk management side of things, their insurance side of things, so on and so forth. But Scott and Marty's coming to me and saying, "Hey, we'd like you to perpetuate that." That was just, it sounded good.
Mm-hmm.
So easy answer for you to say yes to, or was it just
easy answer for me to say yes to, as long as they didn't pay me less than I was making out that, because I could barely make it.
Yeah, there you go.
You got to pay me the same. I'm not asking for a raise, because you know what? There's no proof in the pudding yet on whether or not I have the ability to sell insurance, and selling property and casualty insurances, which is what I really focused on, and not the life and health benefits side of things. It's a technical, complicated product that no one wants to talk about.
Okay.
Yeah.
And outside of payroll on their ledger, it's the second largest expense that they have.
Yeah.
So it's something that people want someone that they trust to be involved with helping them make those decisions. So they asked me if I'd do it. I said yes. They put me back in a cubicle. They handed me a legal pad, a number 2 pencil, and said, "There's the phone.
Get going."
Get going." Yeah. And I found an old phone book.
Yep.
For you and Graves may not know what that is. That's this thing.
I've heard of
people's
them.
phone numbers.
I've seen pictures of them.
Exactly.
You start dialing for dollars, and you're calling people, obviously, to see if you can get an opportunity in front of them to tell your story, and to see if you can be of help to them.
But Shannon, you were riding on a company that had a significant brand strength, or not? Is that true or not true?
Their brand and their strength in Fort Smith was insane.
Okay.
Yeah, no, they had built a tremendous amount of credibility in Fort Smith. They were iconic as far as insurance agencies go in Fort Smith.
Yeah.
And the other thing about it is that they knew their competition in Fort Smith, and they knew that the same perpetuation plans were not being put in place.
Gotcha.
And then you throw in the complicated side of things of all these independent insurance agencies being bought out, private equity money, all these things. They wanted to stay strong and stay private. And the only way they could do it was to continue to roll new talent into the agency to keep it going the way it had been going for the previous 100 years.
Got it.
And when you came on, you were in sales. not as a partner, just coming in, selling, right? At the beginning.
I came in as sales, not as a partner, and can't do this today in today's business world with the acumen that you have today, or I don't recommend it. Scott and Marty both told me in the perpetuation ideas that they had that if I was successful in the business, that I would be included in the ownership of the company. And, I had mentioned that we were bought by a privately held bank. It was First National Bank. Tremendous amount of respect for the C-Card family.
Mm-hmm.
We were bought by them, but we had already kind of started an internal perpetuation with Sam Hiller, the late Larry Clark, and late Tom Cooley. Not a name that was involved in the name of the company, but Tom Cooley was a minor principal too. We'd already begun a perpetuation plan with them, and I was involved in that perpetuation plan on a handshake with those guys because I did sell enough insurance to justify my being there. I had validated as a producer.
Yeah.
So they included me, and it was all a handshake.
That's awesome.
So, I've
heard a lot of stories that not the other direction.
That way, but but I have the Scott Clark and Marty Clark, the integrity that they had and the transparency that they had and their ability to stay focused on the deal that I would be included. So that's what happened. And now, October 1st of this year will be 31 years.
Wow. That's great.
Mm-hmm.
Did you feel, last question kind of on your story, Shannon, did you feel stepping into a company that had been around for however many years, and then maybe it became more real when you became a partner, but did you feel the weight of, like this company has a legacy that's bigger than me and I'm trying to carry it forward? Did you feel that at all when you stepped in and started working there?
I don't know that I necessarily felt weight and pressure of that. And maybe one reason I didn't as much is that Fort Smith, I've always said Fort Smith is like a large Mayberry.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's the community is. I was born and raised there. I left and went to school in Fayetteville to get my undergrad. Came back, and I already knew a lot of people in Fort Smith, and they knew me. They knew the Clarks. They knew the Hillers. They knew the Coolies. They all knew that. So it's kind of like if Sam and Larry and Tom have brought you in and made you part of the company, everyone within the community felt like you were qualified to be a part of that company moving forward.
Yeah.
So Shannon, it was kind of in a way, it was a gift.
Yeah.
So when one more quick question. So when they approached you, did they approach you because of some friendships and relationships? Did they approach you because they knew they were about to go into a growth curve and they needed somebody with a different set of skill sets and wiring than they had? Did they go to you because it was like, let's get a buddy in on this thing early on, the more the better? Like if you had to read what was going on in their brain, why'd they call you?
They called me because they knew that my family and our reputation in the community of Fort Smith was good.
Mm-hmm.
And they also knew that they wanted to enter into extreme growth mode.
Got it.
Mm-hmm.
They needed a growth driver.
And it was a growth driver. That's right. It was a driver of growth, and we did grow it. There were 28 employees when I started. Now we have 92.
Oh man!
So a lot has changed over those years, but I really think it was growth. And the fun thing about working with Scott and Marty was we all celebrated everybody's wins.
It's great.
It wasn't 3 individual pods of producers selling business. We all got excited when someone rang the bell.
Yeah.
I mean, it was one of those things. And, Scott and Marty, we were friends, but, I didn't call them all the time and we didn't do stuff all the time together and all that. But as soon as I saw their car pulling out of the driveway at Brown Hill Car, I was like rerun. I was chasing after the car going, I need in the back seat because I need to go listen to what you're fixing to do.
Yeah.
You need to do that. And Graves can expand on that a little bit more too.
That's
there.
great.
It's important.
Mm-hmm.
And they were willing to. And you learn so much from
being
being out with someone else that's done this for a long time. And that's why we think, mentoring our new producers, boys and girls, extreme mentorship is key.
That's great.
Yeah.
Key. It's the
A lot of
secret
agencies
sauce.
will just throw young agents to the wolves.
Yeah.
Kind of like he was thrown to the wolves a little
Yeah.
bit. Just go figure it out.
Yeah. I can see
But
that.
you can't do that today. That's not the way it works.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that. Everything's changed. Lots of things are different now, and you have to change with it in order to continue to stay ahead of the cycle
Yeah.
or be on the riding the wave of that
Yeah.
of how it goes now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No doubt.
Yeah.
So Graves, you weren't born yet when your dad started at BHC.
90.
I'm
I'm
yeah.
99, baby. So
You were -3.
yeah.
Any I always think this is a funny question. Any early memories of like your dad working or like things that come to mind when you were like a kid, like dad going to work? What was anything that pops up?
He was always super intentional about being at every practice and everything that I ever had. Picking me up, dropping me off was a mix between him and my mom.
Yeah.
But I mean, I do remember he always made me breakfast.
Yeah.
And
So what do you think your dad did? If you could go back to your early version
Mhm.
and somehow your teacher said to you in the fourth grade or whatever and said, "Well, what does your dad do?" You would say what?
He's an insurance agent.
Okay.
That's all I knew. I didn't know what that meant. Think about when you start adulting is when you figure out what insurance is.
Yeah.
So you really don't even know until I'd say probably college.
Yeah. But you've heard of it, so you can just say
yeah, you just think insurance. It's a necessity. People got to have it. But I said insurance agent, and I knew that he was high up at the agency he was involved with. Even in college, like the magnitude of what he didn't really resonate with me.
I asked that question, and we can edit this out, but we did a practice recording with McCain and Jeff Martin, and McCain was telling a story that he was like, as a kid, I thought, he said Mason, their older brother, he said he thought his dad just drove around in his truck on his phone all day. That's what he did for work.
That's who built Hunter and Parker's house. The
Oh,
Martins.
okay.
Yeah, right over there.
Yeah.
And so he's like, my dad just pulls up to like pieces of land on his phone in his truck and just talks. That's what he does for work. And then McCain said, right when he started working with his dad, he was on the phone with somebody, pulled up to a job site
In his truck.
and in his truck, and he's sitting there
Pointing just like his dad.
he's like, I'm literally, he called his brother. He's like, Mason, I literally just had like a Jeff moment.
Yeah.
Where I'm like doing the same thing.
I figured out.
It's so
I've
funny.
become my dad.
It's so
Around
funny.
it.
So how did you get into BHC? Was there ever a version of you that wasn't going to work here?
Yeah.
Tell us what that was like.
So I went to the university, and Shannon was real intentional on making sure I had internships lined up. After freshman year, he let me, that summer, he let me do the whole rush chairman deal or whatever it is, helping the high schoolers come into the university. So I had a fun summer doing that. Which is selling.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Selling.
And then the next 2 summers, though, it was buckle down and kind of figure out what you like. So I had an internship in banking in Little Rock and then a wealth management firm in Little Rock. And I really liked the wealth management side. Banking was, I was like in the accounting department, kind of sitting with a controller and working with CFO stuff, really in income statements and balance sheets. And I was like, this is not for me. I'm like similar to him in the fashion that I just have trouble sitting still. I like a desk job wouldn't fit what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
Wealth management was attractive to me. It was, selling, building a book of business. And ultimately after that was in between my junior and senior year when I did that. And I kind of I was offered a job with this firm, and I, was bouncing the idea off Shannon like any son would do, and really got in the weeds about like how hard it is to build a book of business.
In wealth management.
How hard just selling anything in general is.
Yeah.
You don't know you have it until you do it.
Yeah.
Which is crazy looking back on now, getting into it. But anyways, I talked to him and I was like, well, let's talk about insurance. I don't want you to push me. And he was very good about like not being like, come talk to us. Let's like see if we can figure something out. Like he never once did that. Actually, I interviewed for a large personal lines agency that's out of Dallas, but they have locations everywhere. I interviewed there, and just because I was curious about insurance, and I didn't really understand what personal lines was versus commercial. I just, and I remember in the interview, they said, I told them that my dad was in the insurance business and I'm curious about it. And it's probably why I didn't get a job offer.
Sure.
But I remember they said, does he do commercial or personal insurance? And I'm a senior in college and I didn't know the answer.
Yeah.
Back to your point about, I just knew he was an insurance agent. And so anyways, I didn't get that job offer. So called dad and I said, I'd like to just talk to Marty, his partner.
Yep.
Without you in the room, just me and him sit down.
Why'd you do that?
I wasn't worried that he was going to pressure me, but
Yeah.
I wanted to hear it from Marty's point of view about like what the job's like, how easy / hard it is to make it.
Yeah.
So were they hiring or were they just like,
so we have
somebody of talent walk to the front door, they're not going to not.
So another backsided story is BHC is based out of Fort Smith. I did not want to live in Fort Smith. I was going to live, either go off maybe somewhere for a couple years or stay up in Northwest Arkansas. I fell in love with Fayetteville, Rogers, Bentonville when I was in college. And I knew that like this was probably going to be home eventually. And I also was seriously dating my now wife, and I knew that she wasn't going to move to Fort Smith. But they had this office in Lowell, just south of the AMP. And I knew that was an option. And it was very, I don't want to say dead, but it was kind of like the redheaded stepchild office. For like 15 years they had it.
Oh, wow.
Up here? Is that long?
Yes. And they just didn't. And I don't want to speak for you, but I don't think they paid attention. I've seen it transform. So that's why I'm speaking to it.
Yeah.
It was an underperformer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't want to say it was an underperformer, but it just wasn't producing the way it needed to be producing in a growing market like Northwest Arkansas.
Right.
Yeah.
And then also Paxton, Marty's son, is a whole nother part of this deal. And he joined the firm a year before me. And I grew up with Paxton, buddies with Paxton. And so he kind of started recruiting me too. We went to lunch and, he was really pushing for me to join the agency. And similar to Shannon, talking about perpetuating.
Yep.
Obviously that's down the line. I don't think we had any idea how quickly things would move and how much we'd grow in the time that we have since we've been there. But anyways, that was a huge selling factor for me too. And Marty was just, if you've ever met Marty, he's extremely charismatic, and you can see how good of a salesman he is. And he was like very, very good at getting me to make up my mind almost on the dot that I was going to join the agency.
Yeah.
So did you? I mean, was it a fast decision, green lights?
I think I took about a week and a half, and I made a few more calls to the wealth management firm to discuss just more in detail about the job. And I think it was about 10 days. And then I decided to.
How long ago was that?
That was this early spring, late winter of my senior year. So 2021, beginning of 2021.
Okay.
And so now I've been there going on 5 years.
That's great.
Mm-hmm.
Shannon, when he decided to say yes, was there any like you doing a fist pump? Yes. Inside,
Yeah. I didn't want, the last thing I wanted was to make Graves feel pressured to come to BHC. What I think I said to Graves that made the most sense to him and resonated with him without saying, you're coming to work at BHC was, don't go sell wealth management and decide 5 years later that you want to come to the insurance agency. Build your book right now.
Yeah, that's great.
Let's go right here.
That was the big kicker.
I'm in the go zone right now.
Yeah.
I'm all about book building. I'm still growing my book. I'll help you grow your book. I'll show you how I do it. And Marty will show you how he does it. And that's the most important thing. So if you think there's a chance that you're going to go to work for one of these great wealth management firms like the ones he had worked for, I said, don't do it and leave, because you're walking away from a book of business.
Yeah.
I said, someone else is going to take it over. They're going to transfer it to someone else. They're going to keep servicing it and taking care of it like you're supposed to do. But I said, let's just start right here, right now, today. And that's probably
was
something
huge.
that made him think about.
It was a huge deal when he told me that, because I didn't really understand it until he put it that way. Just like, because that was probably going to happen. I could have moved to Dallas and done something, or went to Little Rock, but ultimately I probably would have wanted to be up here and moved. And then I would have had to let go of a book. And I knew that at the time. So
yeah, that's cool. So I want to talk about what it's like to work together, because you're both in sales. That's a little bit unique from some of the other dads and sons we'll talk to. You're in the same, not really separated by role or department. And you're kind of both doing the same job, which is unique. What is that like day to day to be doing the same job? How does that play out? Do you ever bump into each other with customers or anything?
It's changed over the years. Because the first year I was living up here, I still live up here in Fayetteville, but he's in Fort Smith. I was going down at least twice a week, most of the time 3 days a week. And I was sitting in a chair next to his desk all day. He probably hated it, and I watched.
Yeah.
I listened to him talk to his customers. I listened to him talk to underwriters and the carrier reps that we work with. And I listened to him talk to his service staff and the people servicing all the business that he was the agent on. And I asked questions and essentially shadowed while selling. And I'd say those first 3.5 years, I probably really got my feet under me like after a year of watching them. And then 2 years, it was like, okay, you can definitely do this on your own now, kind of deal. Stop going to Fort Smith 3 times a week, maybe once a week for leadership meetings and things of that nature. But the first 3.5 years, we were going like together, selling together, and we were running like hard. I was kind of worried about running him out the door because of how much activity we had going.
Really?
Yeah, we were selling together and doing the father-son dynamic duo deal.
Like call the same people.
Joined at the hip. I mean, and a lot of people probably, I had to really think about what the best way to bring Graves into the insurance business was and help make him successful.
Yeah.
But I knew his personality, and there's a carrot and a stick method and all that kind of stuff. And Graves is real motivated by a carrot and stick type setup.
Yeah.
But I needed him beside my desk, literally on the same side of my desk, not sitting on the other side, beside my desk, listening to all these conversations, looking. I've got paper all over my desk. I'm the guy that still prints off an email and writes all over it. I just felt good about it. This morning it looked like an F4 hit my desk. I had one of the ladies in the office back there looking at 2 or 3 different renewals with me and crunching these numbers and understanding what's going on. But
don't let him trick you though. He's like very OCD. So like, yes, he has papers all over his desk, but they're like very neatly like stacked.
Before the end of the day. Yeah. When I go home at night, there's definitely division between all of them. But during the day, it's a dumpster fire. But it's an organized dumpster fire.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. That obviously I wouldn't want someone to go in there and figure out what's going on. But there's a method to the madness. But I wanted him beside my desk, listening to him. We would close the door. This is how you talk to an underwriter. This is what the underwriter's saying. This is what we want out of the conversation. So let's figure out how to negotiate with that underwriter to where both sides hang up the phone and feel like they've won. Yeah, it's not always one-sided. Sometimes it is, and sometimes there's no method to the madness of what these insurance carriers are doing. But I've always thought that is the key piece of handling all of your customers' accounts is how you go to the mat for them, negotiating for them. If you do that and you do it consistently all the time, your customers will have the trust and loyalty to you going forward. That's worth everything.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, is that you got to be able to do that. And that's what makes you go home at night and you can lay your head down and you can go to sleep. When you go home at night and you can't sleep, and there's a lot of nights in this business after 31 years, I hadn't slept a wink. It's because my motor's turning in my mind of how do I need to handle this or do this differently. He got to hear all that. So I think it helped him build the platform that he sells on and has now made him self-sufficient honestly, Graves will go out and sell on a bunch of stuff now, and I don't get a phone call to get invited or anything. And it kind of hurts my feelings a little bit. But at the same time, there is a sense of satisfaction and thankfulness that God's favor's been on Graves, and he's been able to do this, and he's been able to gain trust and loyalty with people.
Yeah.
So was this 3.5 year mentoring and development and growth and all that, was that just kind of the model that the company had in place, and you were just installing what we do across the whole company? Or did you kind of, we're doing that, but I'm going to really add a few layers because he's my son? Like how much of that was unique because your son is joining you in sales, same thing, versus, hey man, that's just what we do with anybody, name or no name. This is what we do for highly technical training, kind of a thing.
Well, since Graves has come along, things have changed a lot.
Okay.
As far as the onboarding of a new producer, what I said, extreme mentorship.
Yeah.
Marty's written a couple articles for a couple of our insurance companies' newsletters and things about the importance of extreme mentorship. That was extreme mentorship before we actually had it in, A, B, C, D, E form.
Right.
Now we take a client or a suspect through a process on, does it make sense for them and BHC to do business with one another? And you're taking them to a value-added proposition schedule of things that you're talking about, and you're trying to figure out what's important to them. The most important thing you can do going out and calling on a client is listening. Yeah. And I'm bad about not listening. I like talking because I get excited about what I'm doing and what we can do for you and all that. But listening to it is, listening to what's important to them is real important. But then number two, showing them what we offer them. If we become their trusted source for their property and casualty insurance or their homeowners insurance or their health insurance or whatever, you're taking them through a process of what it looks like to do business with BHC. At the end of that process that we're taking them through, and this is in writing, color form for all of our producers to take out this shiny booklet for them to walk through someone with. It's called our Ignite process. We trademarked it. It's called Ignite, and take them through the Ignite process. You get to the end of it, and the customer at the end of it has a decision on whether or not it looks like a good idea to do business with BHC. And it could be they like it so much that they assign you as the agent of record letter on all of their policies, or they ask you to move forward in it, and they would like to see you bring some options.
Or there's no fit at all.
Or there's no fit at all. Yeah. Hey, look,
which is a huge deal.
I'm never going to change. My brother-in-law is my insurance agent.
Yeah.
And I play golf with him on Tuesdays and Fridays.
Yeah.
I'm not, so it's like,
it's common. More common than you think.
Let me know. Yeah. I mean, I don't need practice.
Yeah. I know it's really funny because I've been coaching CEOs and business owners for almost 4 decades. And 3.5 decades ago, I developed a 3 green light system to do the same thing. And literally it's never failed me one time in 3.5 decades. But it's slowing down the dance to see if there really is a fit, and then to be courageous enough to say it's not a fit, or we know exactly what we're working on here. Not just, hey, let's just get in here and we'll figure it out along the way. Sure. And versus like, no, man, this is what you're solving for me.
That's it.
And we are salesmen. But like sometimes you walk in on an account and when you sit down after 30 minutes that this is not an account that you want to be working on.
There you go.
Sure.
There you go.
It's the fact of the matter. It's not like we're desperate. We need to ride everything we can. It's very, you pick and choose sometimes.
Yeah. So Graves, in the 3 year or 3.5 year extreme mentoring process, are you, are there ever any consistent stretches that you're like, wow, what am I doing here? Like, why didn't I go wealth, or why didn't I? And this is not a serious second guessing. Every business has bad Fridays or a tough Wednesday or whatever. Yeah. None of that. I'm talking about where you're just in the grit grind part of it, and you're saying, I don't really like the subject matter is not really that appealing to me, or Was any of that going on, or are you just still green lights pretty well, generally speaking, 3 years? Just
Yeah.
Here
The
we
first
go.
3 years, it was so busy and so much was thrown at me, and we were so busy, and we bought our agency back, which was a whole nother deal that kept us extremely busy. I don't even think I had time to think, like, is this the fit? I mean, yes, there are times I got my teeth kicked in sales. I mean, everybody does at some point. So those times are hard, and you go, was it me? Am I doing this right? Is this for me? And then like the next day you get a lead and you're on to something else, and it's great.
You're back.
So
glad to be there.
Yes.
Glad that your answer was yes. I'm
Yes,
in, and
absolutely.
just let's go. Load it up and let's
Mhm.
roll.
Yeah.
So your on ramp to get into this training with your dad, pretty unique. That close proximity, pretty awesome. A lot of advantages there. Something that we see a lot is when a son decides to go work with his dad. Usually, the older generation is a magnet and a wake
Mm-hmm.
for their son. Not always bad things, just kind of by default.
Mhm.
And you're a magnet because you have a big network. You've been in it for 20, 30 years. And so if the son's not intentional, he can just kind of,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
slide over, and I'm just going to be kind of close to you. And that's kind of how it's going. Wake, because you've already put out Wake into the market with all of your work. And so he can kind of just ride. Well, my dad's been doing this. I can just kind of ride his coattails a little bit.
Mhm.
Not that you would choose that, but if
Mhm.
you're not intentional about getting away from it, then that can kind of be a default. How did you learn from them, but also build your own voice, your own way of doing things? Like, hey, I'm Graves. I'm going to do my stuff this way.
Mhm.
I'm sure there's a lot of similarities,
Yeah,
but like,
that's a good
how did you
question.
do that?
One, being in Northwest Arkansas, although it's 45 minutes from Fort Smith in the River Valley, I was pretty determined to, make a name for myself here. Our agency had a very, very small presence in Northwest Arkansas when I started. But after I started, I mean, we started hiring a couple guys local that were established, and then hiring young guys and really just like pushing growth in Northwest Arkansas hard. And that's still where our main focus is. So I was determined, one, there to, build a name for myself, get my feet in the ground here and, help build the brand. Repeat the question though about,
Was it easy? Did you find yourself kind of getting like sucked over to the vacuum that, hey, my dad's been doing this for 30 years
Mhm.
or how many years? And it'd be kind of easy just to kind of ride behind him a little bit.
Yeah, I think I had to make a decision for myself, and I probably made the decision once I figured out after like a year or so that, okay, I'm good at this and I can sell.
Built up some confidence.
Insurance. Yeah. But you have to it would have been real easy for me to come in, Paxton to come in, and, they're cruising into the sunset eventually, and we can sit on our hands if we want to.
Yeah.
But we
But
obviously
having a new
doing that.
market, having a fresh, undeveloped to speak of compared to the standard of the business,
Right.
That makes it just a
Right.
pretty much a deal changer, a game changer.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the clear
It does.
distinction.
But
'Cause
I could have.
you weren't going to just ride on their coattails.
No, I mean,
up
I
here.
could have, like I said, sat on my hands and said, we'll give this, I'll learn from Shannon. We'll give this thing, 10 or 12 years till he's done. And, hopefully if he trusts me, I can take over his clients. It would have been real easy for me to do that probably.
Yeah.
But honestly, being in our organization, BHC, we're a very sales focused organization. It's competitive, which is what's so much fun about it. And, when I was looking at, his book of business, as a young producer, figuring out I was good at sales, I was like, I want to match that. Like, I don't want to just, sit on my hands and wait till he retires and, whatever, take over his book, whatever that looks like. I want to be able to build something for myself.
Right.
And we'll worry about that part later.
Yeah.
So who's the better salesman today?
He is, for sure. I mean, I've been at it 5 years, but he's got 31 years of experience.
I was going to give you a chance. I was going to give you a chance to
He
say,
bowed
I
out
am up
fast.
here. I am in Northwest Arkansas.
Yeah.
I'm better.
Yeah.
About out fast.
Graves does a great job, and some of his clientele that he's been able to get in front of. I'm like, who's that again? He's like, yeah. He tells me, and I'm like, kidding, go, man, that's awesome. Yeah. But one of the things that Graves has figured out too, though, it can't all be done strictly on his own. You have to reach out, and you have to get the right centers of influence. You have to spend time with the right people that know people that want to go tell someone about you.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And Graves has done a good job of championing that process, and it's been. I mean, it just continues to feed you with opportunities.
But that's part of your best practice. I mean, like that's the way you guys had built your business for decades, and so you're transferring that best practice over.
Yeah, I mean, there was guys in Fort Smith on the benefit side, guys up here on the benefit side who had been in the business a long time, who took me under their wing and said, "We're going to get you in front of a couple people," and helped me gain that confidence to figure out that, okay, I'm good at this.
That's cool.
I can sell.
Yeah.
But that's kind of how BHC is, though. You know, we cross sell a lot. We help out the young guys.
Mm-hmm.
It's really easy. It would be really easy to just turn a blind eye to the newbies and say, figure it out.
Yeah.
But we invest in all of the young guys and make sure that they're going to figure it out.
So is there a layer, is there a layer of, let's see how to ask this question. You know, some industries are going through such significant evolutionary steps because of AI, because of whatever it might be, you know. And so, is there an element that your generation is having to really re-engineer some of the work itself? Or is insurance one of those industries and verticals that, at least as of now, there's not a lot of that going on? And I don't mean that there's nothing fresh going on, but like construction, construction's kind of construction, and we can have newer bulldozers, and we can have, but an acre of land's an acre of land and whatever. So my question is there, are you having to kind of figure out what insurance looks like in today's world? Because it's pretty much different than it was 10 or 20 years ago, or is it not really? It's generally the same kind of offering as a general rule.
I think it can come in cycles. One new product that's very important now that wasn't 10 years ago is cyber insurance. Maybe started 10 years ago. Cyber liability, cyber insurance, ransomware attacks, phishing, social engineering. But for you, it was when you got into the business, it was EPLI, right?
It was, yeah. There was management lines liability, D&O, EPLI, fiduciary liability, crime, all of those things, especially, the EPLI was a hot button that was coming on, that people were getting hit with employment practices liability suits. They didn't have coverage. So it became kind of a hot thing. The cyber thing, like Graves said, is something that is definitely, there's more awareness about it going out there. It doesn't have to happen to Target and Home Depot for us to realize. It happens internally with our small businesses that we write a tremendous amount of. It happens all the time.
So is every small business, generally speaking, is it going to have to carry that insurance?
Nothing's going to require them to carry it.
Well, I meant would their leadership just be crazy not to be entertaining that expense in their P&L, because it is a risk, and it's a real risk?
I think everyone's different. And what kind of IT support that they have, how often they're looking at their firewall and all their controls that are in place, and their backups and their protocols for payment instruction changes and so on and so forth. But I definitely think that for the money, it's a good investment for someone to buy cyber liability, because I could sit here and tell you stories all afternoon about different things that have happened to different people. But I think at the end of the day, it's a small price to pay for a lot of support and backing of things that you could potentially be liable for by the regulatory means.
Yeah, I mean, that certainly wasn't around 25 years ago.
Yeah.
I mean, it was, it was buy the insurance to keep, in case of a fire, case of a whatever.
So
it's ever changing.
Yeah.
The core, though, is still the same. I mean, your general liability, your work.
Yeah, the reason I was asking, a lot of times second or third generation, they really are re-engineering the core offering of the business that grandpa started, or whatever. And just, I was curious to see if there was any of that.
You mentioned AI.
Yeah.
AI is something that we definitely are paying attention to internally within our office. I don't like it when someone says AI is going to make everybody dumber.
Yeah.
No, it's not. It's not going to make everybody dumber, but it has to do with the person and how they're applying it. I don't think AI is coming into the insurance business is going to replace Graves and I, not in any kind of way. There's just not before he retires. I don't think it will. I think people still want to have a relationship with someone that they buy their insurance from, but I think AI will definitely enhance what we're doing. It's not going to annihilate it
Internally.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
I think it's going to help us become even more professional than we've already tried to be,
and more efficient.
and more
on the servicing
efficient.
side.
Oh gosh,
Oh,
yeah.
I mean, I'm talking with clients and friends and even our firm every day about how they're using AI and how it's showing up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe last question on working together. We say all the time, working in a family business is uniquely rewarding, but it's also uniquely challenging. Has that shown up for you guys at all? Is there anything that's been uniquely rewarding? We're like, man, this is really cool that we're doing such and such together. Or is there anything that's been like, man, this is uniquely challenging because I got to tell you you're wrong, or has any of that showed up since you've been working together?
I think there's plenty of examples. Rewarding. I mean, just getting to win some nice accounts with Shannon by my side and like doing it together, I think early on was really cool for me. The feeling of gaining a new client and somebody like entrusting you to take care of them and like what they've built is really cool.
Yeah.
And to feel that and to know that like, dang, my dad's been doing this my whole life. Like I look back at that sometimes and think like, when I was in 6th or 7th grade, he was doing this. Like, that's been really cool. Uniquely rewarding as well. The buying back the agency was just a huge deal. And took a lot of guts from him and Marty. So that was an extremely cool experience to be a part of and still be a part of.
How about hard? What
challenging?
Yeah, if somebody just said, you got to give me something that's hard, what would that, or challenging?
Uniquely challenging from working with them?
Yeah, what would that be?
I won't say anything bad about you.
You're on camera.
We work really, really well together for a father-son duo. But there are times, and especially when we were running really hot, we still are running pretty hot. But there was like a year there where we were running so hot and he already has a big book of business that he's managing. And I'm calling him, asking questions, trying to figure out like, how does this work? And it got to the point where if there was attitude given, one of us would probably be hanging up every now and then. It happened not often, but like maybe once every other week.
Yeah. Just don't have time for that.
Right. Mm-hmm. And also challenging was everybody telling me my whole life, wow, you look just like your dad. You have the same mannerisms as your dad. And even the first year in the business, the service staff in the office saying our footsteps down the hallway sound the same way. But then figuring out that our personality traits and characteristics are very, very different. And we're very, very different people. And it was challenging to figure out where we're different and how to, work together, like knowing that.
That's fine.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, Shannon, how about your side? Same question.
Oh, I mean, way more rewarding than challenging, but I'm the dad. It might be 50-50 to him.
Yeah.
Way more rewarding. The challenging side of things is I can't tell you how many times at 6 or 7 o'clock at night, I've called Graves and said, hey, I'm really sorry about the attention and time I gave you today. Because he was reaching out to me, asking, inquiring, looking for discernment and different things. And then I didn't give it to him the way I should. I did the same thing walking up the steps, talking on the phone to someone at my office a minute ago. But I was like, hey, I got to go. I'm supposed to be here 10 minutes ago and I'm 9 minutes late.
Yeah.
So, and I'm going to call that person back when we get out of here. And that's going to be the first person that I pay attention to and help them do what they're trying to do on the other end. But it's fun to win together, but you got to learn to win together and you got to learn to lose together. And how you react from losing together is what it's all about. It's where your character comes out. Yeah. It's fun. Everybody likes to win.
Yeah.
Everything's good when you're winning, but it's when all these other things that come in together. You think about, okay, Grace tells me he didn't get an account that he had worked on, and I'm like, okay, let's break this down. What'd you do?
Yeah.
What do you think? What's the root cause of why this didn't work? Oh, you weren't talking to the decision maker. Note to self: always talk to the decision maker. Get a seat at the table with the decision maker. If you're going to spend 10 or 12, 15 hours working on something, trying to earn their business, make sure you're talking to the decision maker, because it's hard to ever get someone's business if you're not talking to someone that has the authority to make the decision.
So is 10% of y'all's time still situated in the mentoring, like that question there, didn't get the business, and you're going to process with your dad / your boss or your the person above you with experience.
Mm-hmm.
So would you say that even though you're not in the 3.5 years of intense, extreme sitting next to his desk, like, do you guys still spend 10% of a given month processing how to keep growing, keep learning,
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe more.
Okay.
Yeah, I still think more. Yeah. I mean, I learn something every day, and I've been doing it 31 years.
There you go. There you go.
I was reading a form before I came up here for renewal. I got on April 1st. I was like, I've never seen this form in my life. Yeah. And that's what that call was. I was talking to someone, was trying to enlighten me on what this form means after what I read and what I interpreted. But no, it's definitely more rewarding than not. And one thing I was going to say too about Graves, and you were talking about Graves and him coming into the office, and you were talking about a weight or maybe a help or
magnet and weight.
Yeah, magnet and weight. Yeah. Graves is always, I've been Shannon since he got there. I've never been Dad. And in all of our meetings with everyone, he refers to me as Shannon. And I think it makes us coworkers more than father son. For him to refer to me as Shannon, he's always done it, and I like it. I've gotten to where I like it, and it's good. And I feel like we're teammates selling together.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
It's not out of work.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we still hunt.
Yeah. One thing I wanted to say, and this is retracting way back to a couple of subjects ago.
Yeah.
When we were talking about Graves and what made you decide you didn't want to do wealth management? What made you decide you didn't want to work in the banking business? What made you decide? When he did come to me before he went and talked to Marty, I was like, he told you all earlier that he told everyone that his dad was an insurance salesman. This is when it resonated with me. Graves, I said, Graves, what do I do? And he's got his college degree. He's had internships that are meaningful and everything else. He said, you take care of people.
Yeah.
I said, enough said.
Awesome.
I don't want to know anything else. Mic drop. That's what I wanted him. That's what I was curious to see where his maturity was.
Yeah.
Because bless his heart, he's been on, 26 years of being around me with driving to Dallas, Texas, and I don't get off the phone for 4 hours.
Wow.
Trying to get a piece of equipment covered for someone that they didn't have scheduled on their inland marine policy.
Yeah.
And I'm working with travelers. It's just like brutal.
Yeah.
What they had to listen to.
That's fun.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Taking care of people.
Yeah. Taking care of people. That's what it's all about.
Let's talk about the future. So this is kind of the last section, but we say there's broadly speaking 3 seasons that a family business will go through when there's 2 generations together working. There's 3 seasons you're going to walk through. Season 1 is, and we've talked about this a lot, Graves, but older generations leading, whether that's from a title perspective, role perspective, ownership perspective, whatever. And the younger generation is just learning. Maybe that was you sitting next to them for the 3 years, just getting your feet wet, trying to get up to speed. Mm-hmm. And that can last a couple months, can last 3 years, changes. The second season is where you're both leading in some capacity. So you're still in your role, but now the younger generation has stepped up and maybe they get a promotion or maybe they're managing people. They know what they're doing now. They have some type of leadership role within the company. And then the third is the final season where the older generation says, hey, I'm done. Here's the baton. And they take some type of shepherd role, advisor role, or maybe you're just hunting and fishing nonstop and you're not answering his call, whatever it is. That's the final season. and the younger generation's leading from a role perspective, title perspective, ownership perspective, the whole thing. Ultimately, I know those are broad strokes, but ultimately that's what's going to happen. Where are you guys right now in those 3 kind of seasons? It feels like you're kind of in dual leadership right now. Where are you?
I'd say we're right in that middle where he's still, I feel like we just came out of that first phase you talked about.
Yeah.
Where he's leading and I was learning.
Yeah.
And now I feel like we're at a point in time where he's leading and I'm leading too. Same with Paxton and Marty. Paxton's leading, Marty's leading too. And we're just kind of, that's how I feel right now.
Yeah. Well, I 100% what he said. We're in that middle season. Yeah. I'm not sunsetting. I'm not going anywhere. If somebody called me tomorrow, like last year, I had an account 4 hours away that I was referred to. I made a phone call. I said, I'll drive 4 hours, but you're going to do business with me if I drive 4 hours. They were like, I don't know what you're waiting for. Get in the car. So I still, if a phone rang, if I got a message when I walk out here that says you need to be in, Star City on Friday at 10 o'clock in the morning, this account, I'd be there. Yeah. So I'm still actively thinking about the growth of BHC, but I'm putting the growth of BHC with our younger producers and the rest of our producers at the forefront of my mind. So Paxton and Graves are very much involved in leadership of the agency because we put EOS in, Entrepreneurial Operating System, several years ago, made them part of the management team and gave them specific duties and responsibilities within the organization. If you just Graves in the sales and producing side of things, Paxton in some sales and producing side of things, and the CFO side of things. So they're on our every Monday. We have a management meeting that's an hour and a half long, talking about high level stuff. Whereas we've got all these different managers of all these departments that are doing their jobs, and they've been given the ability to make decisions and delegate on their own without coming to Marty and I and Graves and Paxton. So
So Shannon, you mentioned earlier, did you say there's 80, 90 employees?
90, 92, I think.
92 employees. So in the next 5 to 10 years, will the business potentially double? Will it what's the state of Arkansas? Are you only in the state of Arkansas? Or are you outside?
We're actually in eastern Oklahoma too.
Okay. So this is not a geographical parameter business.
We ride in 50 states.
Okay. That's my question.
Yeah.
So you can ride anywhere you want.
We have non-resident licenses in all the states other than our main state that we're resident in. It might go to 150 employees. It might go to 125 employees. We're not going to say it's not. When we generate additional revenue and we need the staff behind that revenue to service it at the level that BHC will take care of an account, we will hire that. We will hire the support to go behind it.
Yeah.
We just recently opened up an office in Little Rock, Arkansas at Rodney Perriman Breckenridge. Never really wanted to be in the Central Arkansas market with a office, and we've always written business in Central Arkansas. In fact, all over Arkansas, El Dorado, Little Rock, Stuttgart. Jonesboro, Harrison, we've all been Northwest Arkansas. We've always written business there, but we had an opportunity with a producer that had 19 years in the business, who's very good at what he does, and his service staff person came over with him. So we just opened up that. But Little Rock and Fort Smith and Lowell or Rogers, Salsa, Oklahoma, and Poto, Oklahoma. So we've got 5 locations there. Basically,
we still expect a lot of growth.
Yeah, we do definitely. But if a client called me tomorrow and said we got a deal in Alabama that you need to be in Birmingham on Monday, I'm going to go to Birmingham. I'll be in Birmingham. Whatever we need to do. Yeah,
looking like a good salesman.
Yeah, for sure.
When you think about the future of BHC, maybe 10, 15-year vision, what is your vision of BHC, and is yours a little bit different? That's something that starts to happen, when you move from that second season to third season, is some of the vision that you and Marty have been carrying Graves and Paxton start to cast a little bit of vision and say, this is what I want it to look like. You know, some of that vision casting starts to shift. Sounds like you're not quite there yet, but what is your vision of the future? And then Graves, I want to hear your answer too.
I think that Paxton and Graves' vision are going to be very similar to mine and Marty's, only because of 3 years ago, this March 1st, a couple of days ago, 3 years ago, when Marty and I went to the bank and said, we want the opportunity to buy ourselves back. We're going to start our own agency, or we want to buy ourselves back. Why did we do that? It was not about it wasn't about wealth to Marty and I in any kind of imagination or reason, or behind what was behind it, why we wanted that. But what we realized was that being privately owned for 20 years, we had no way to share generational wealth with people and within the organization, with our sales staff, equity opportunities for them or for our kids moving forward, because we were owned by a bank. We had no equity. And yeah, you can get into phantom equity models and all these different things. They're complicated. They're clunky. They're not real. So I think Graves and Paxton, to go back to your original question, their mindset on what we want to do and how we want to scale our agency is the same as mine and Marty's, because they've been with us from the very beginning of when we bought ourselves back and what we set goals wise within our EOS leadership teams. So yeah, we set a goal that we wanted to be at a certain revenue by 2030. I think we're going to be at that goal. I think we're actually going to exceed the goal. But the agency as a whole has scaled quite a bit in the last 5 years. Not to get into number details, I don't want to go there, but we have scaled a lot in the last 5 years. So everyone's on this. It's kind of like, you know, everyone pulling the same direction on the rope. We all are, and we all have the same vision and purpose.
I mean, a major intersection like buying yourselves back, when you were already there, everyone was already at the foundation at the same time. So here's the new vision. We're all here at the moment. When you have a big intersection like that, everyone's going to rally.
It was helpful. It was a huge moment. And I remember, I'll never forget the conversation sitting in the upstairs conference room in Fort Smith, Marty, Shannon, Paxton, and me. And Marty going, this is what we're thinking about doing. And it was kind of like, are y'all on board? Because this is, if we do this, it's like
asking you and Paxton.
I mean, everybody are you going to lock in? And
that's great. That's great. I've said for decades that every organization is perfectly designed to get the results it gets. Every organization is perfectly designed to get the results it gets. Well, you guys buying back your company, structurally, from a design standpoint, it made everybody get on the same page from a vision, like you're talking about, Shannon. Just like we all basically said, this is what we're designing against. So, it doesn't mean you don't have some, stuff that you can do along the way, but it forced an alignment, a structural alignment and a philosophical alignment in a good way.
I agree.
How about surprises? If you just had to say biggest surprise I've had working with my dad, biggest surprise I've had working with my son, if you just had to say a surprise, what would it be?
Biggest surprise. I'd say I was a little surprised at how, not to toot his horn, but his clients, a lot of his clients are really, really close friends of his. And that's not because they were close friends first. It was he's, somehow he wrote their business a while back, and now they're sending me birthday cards. These people are. And no, but seriously, these people, he truly means it when he tells them he's going to take care of them. He builds a relationship with them that is unbreakable. And I've witnessed it firsthand. It is the people who are with him, they're with him. And that was really surprising to me, because when you get into insurance, you can see how on one hand it can be transactional.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking.
And, there's some, especially personal lines, it can be extremely transactional. And now you're seeing AI things where you can go on and just quote your own stuff. But
Yeah.
So I didn't know what to expect getting into insurance, and that was really surprising to me. I was like, okay, if I do it how he's doing it, like I can get people to build true relationships with people. Like they'll stick with you.
You'll be seeing your kids' birthday cards.
Yeah, exactly. But it's true. So that was
awesome.
surprising to me.
Yeah,
That's awesome. Shannon, you got one?
I would probably say that the biggest surprise is Graves' ability to be self-sufficient in the time frame that he has become self-sufficient. I think it's faster than what I was able to do.
Oh, yeah.
He's been able to do things and understand what's important in talking to these clients and what's important on doing and following up with them and understands that faster than I was able to. Yeah.
I've told Kyle the exact same thing, and I
was thinking that when you were talking.
I don't know if they're just smarter than we were. You know,
Yeah, I don't know.
or
I think
we
that's
were
it,
learning.
probably.
We were learning we were learning as we went.
Yeah.
We were just bootstrapping our intelligence and our knowledge as it happened.
Sure.
Like I've told Kyle that so many times. Like, man, I just can't imagine. You just don't realize how fast you're moving through learning gates and milestone gates and revenue gates and on and on and on of everything compared to what I did. So
Kyle might agree, but a big part of that is because of the groundwork that was laid before me to be able to figure it out.
Yeah, no doubt. I do think it's because y'all were doing it on your own, and there was no one, like you weren't sitting next to somebody's desk. You know, you weren't sitting next to your dad's desk for 3 years learning. So, so that's definitely part of the on ramp. But that's also part of why I decided to go join in. Like, I don't know if you ever thought about doing insurance without your dad, but it's like, why would I go start from scratch?
Yeah.
When I can go over here.
Yeah.
You know,
for sure.
Yeah.
No doubt.
So, fast forward maybe to the final year when you're hanging it up and you're crappie fishing every day or something. What does the handoff look like? Because there's probably some like title role stuff. Like, are you taking some of your book? How does that traditionally work? And have you talked about it? What does all that look like? Kind of the final handoff season when you.
Well,
get
I mean, it. I think that
as much as you want to share.
I think that Sam and Larry and Tom were all three real instrumental in how the handoff of their accounts came to Scott and Marty and I. And, it's transferred business. Producers compensated less on transferred business because they didn't bring it into the agency. But you're still paid well on it. But it's your responsibility. It's yours now. I mean, it's kind of like, it's like, the car running down the track, running 100 miles an hour, and the driver trainer over here lets go of his steering wheel and says, "You've got the steering wheel."
Yeah.
There's two steering wheels in the car, but you're the only one controlling it then, or the person flying a plane, taking the yoke from the other pilot. I think that we will do the same thing. Graves, wasn't born when I started in the insurance business, he knows so many of my clients from just the community. They've come to my daughter's wedding. They've done, different things of life events. They know what's going on. I mean, I got clients that, know what's going on in my life right now. Some of the things I was sharing with y'all before we started talking and recording. Yeah. They know what's going on, and I think that we'll do the same thing. In some cases, there's generational changes going on in the businesses that I take place.
I was literally sitting here thinking about it could be some of them are just.
Some of them are. Yeah. Some of them are. And it's a beautiful thing because Graves will have the opportunity to go. And he's gone on a lot of my renewals on some of these businesses and stuff and sat and listen with the person that I have the relationship right now. And I'm dealing with second and third generation people on some of the businesses that I write today. So we'll do that for a period of time because I will not just run out and throw the keys up and say good luck. There's no way. It's too much pride and too much respect for the customers. Yeah. Because the relationships I've built with my customers, I feel like it's important. It's really important to me is building those relationships with those people. Mm-hmm. I care about that relationship too much just to go, hey, there's this new kid named Graves. He's going to call on you. He's got you. Don't worry about it. No, we're not going to do that.
Yeah.
No, we're going to have multiple years going through the renewal process.
Together.
Together.
Me going out, meeting these people year over year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we need a little bit of a heads up.
A little bit of
a heads up before you just.
That's right. That's
set
exactly
sail.
right.
But,
We'll do that. We'll work on that.
We're not there yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At least one hunting season ahead.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Give me one hunting season.
Yeah.
Maybe to land the plane here. So 125-year-old business. By the time you're, getting done and you're stepping into a leadership role, 135, 45, however many years you want to keep rolling. That's an old company. Shannon, what is something that's important that you want Graves to carry? We asked this at the dinner over here when you guys came, but what's something that's really important to you that you want to make sure Graves carries forward? He's stepping into a company with a history and he's learning what it means to carry that forward.
Mm-hmm.
What is something that you're like, man, you got to get this right and you got to carry this forward?
Mm-hmm. Always put yourself in your customer's shoes and buy the insurance for them like you own their company.
That's great. That's great.
Just get in their shoes.
Yeah.
And buy and procure the insurance from a price and a coverage standpoint as if it was you that owned their company.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
Mm-hmm.
That's good. Yeah. I'll say one more thing about like looking down the line. And one thing that Paxton and I align on really, really well is, like he was talking about in 96, there was 20 something employees. We've always had like a great family feel at BHC, and the culture's extremely strong. And it's cliche to say that, I know, but it really is.
Yeah.
And it's special because Fort Smith, it's not a huge town. It's not small, but we employ 90 people in Fort Smith.
Yeah.
And like we were saying, we could grow to, it could be 150 employees one day. But like Paxton and I have always been really in the same mindset of we cannot lose like the family feel of this agency because that's what it's always been.
Yeah.
Like it's really easy for a company to grow too fast and get, I don't know, corporatized or however you want to say it.
Yeah.
But that it was cool to hear Paxton say it and me going, golly, that's yes. Like we cannot ever lose that. So I think that's really important in the 10, 15 year plan as well.
That's great. Yeah. Last question for me, unless you have one. If you're talking to a dad and son thinking about working together, or, a young guy comes out of college and he's like, hey, you work with your dad. Should I do it? Should I not do it?
Mm-hmm.
What advice would you give? Would you give another father-son duo that's going to step into business together?
I'd say give it a go, unless you know that you guys cannot work together. Like if there's issues underlying that would prevent that. But no, give it a go. And I'd say you got to be patient with each other. I'd say for the son joining a family-run business, it's really important to join that business as a newbie. You need to be very humble. But you also have to carry a little bit of confidence because you don't want to get trampled.
That's good.
And to come in and listen and really, really, really work hard at gathering the respect of your coworkers, service staff, anybody. Mm-hmm. Gather respect for the people because there's people there that have been there longer than you.
Yeah.
And they don't want to see a son come in and be spoon-fed.
Yeah.
And so I think that's a really important part too.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's good.
Take care of the customer, obviously. But one of the things that I really like, and whether that father-son situation is a son joining a father coming right out of school or right out of high school or whatever it is he's going to do.
Yeah.
You just realize that someone helped you too. Don't expect your kid to come in and know everything. Someone invested. Marty and Scott, Tom and Sam and Larry made me successful today. I owe everything to them. And the good Lord that people found, I had favor on me and people trusted me And there were times in my career where I was more or less in front of people saying, I need you to help me. And they did.
That's great.
You know.
Yeah.
But I would say that when you're not coming right out of school or right out of high school and you're going to join with your father and you have done something for a while, don't be scared to do something you've never done before. I'm a prime example of it. I had no idea what I was doing, but look what it did for me today.
Right.
Yeah, I've been blessed immensely by the opportunity that Scott and Marty thought about in their head and went to Sam and Larry and Tom and said, we want to ask Shannon to. So it's just, don't be scared to try something you haven't done before.